Speaking of international affairs, what was the reasoning behind your recommendation for the students in Ukraine during the war to take loans?
Oh, that actually wasn't my recommendation.
Okay.
It was the recommendation of the charge who's based in Berlin, which is accredited to Ukraine, to Eastern Europe, because it is what she had been instructed to do when Nicholson was minister. So it didn't come to me. It was done. And when I heard about it, I asked. So we changed the policy and we actually paid for them to return. Prime Minister made a donation. Mark Golding made a donation. Then Mark Golding said that he wanted it to be paid in a particular way. And we said that it had to go into the consolidated fund because that's what the FS said. That's how when you receive money, it has to go in.
Yeah.
So the Foreign Affairs Ministry forwarded the money for the return. And so we said that essentially we would take note that this is what has been contributed. And he objected. So we paid him back his money.
No, it's
So
$10,000.
How much was it? 10 or 15? Something like that.
I'm seeing $10,000
Probably
being reported
10.
here by the Jamaica.
So
Dina.
probably 10,000. We returned it. And I know he's been going around saying that he paid for them to come back, but he took back his money. PM didn't take back anything. PM said, if that's the system, let it be. So we paid for their tickets, except for 2 persons where their parents had paid for theirs. No, it's a couple more than 2 that the parents had paid for because but everybody didn't come back here.
Right, because it was like 43 students.
Right, but it's 20 something that we had paid for.
Okay.
And we paid for their ground transportation and for them to stay overnight in a hotel as they transition back. And there's for some toiletries and all that kind of stuff. I know, people have come to me and said Golding is going around and saying that the government didn't pay and I made them. They did not take out any loans. It was the PNP's policy under Nicholson when Crimea was being annexed by Russia and they told the students there that they should go home. Then the ministry under Nicholson made them take out loans. I don't know if they were ever enforced. I did not look into it at all, but I tell you what happened under my watch, which is that we paid for those who indicated that they needed help home. And that's the truth.
But the uproar came after the fact that I think what was put out is that the loan was offered first before the payment,
they were told.
The initial payment.
No, that's
and
what
then
I'm
some
saying.
person said
No, that's
that
what I'm
they
saying.
can't do the loan, and then
So you have to understand in a ministry, everything doesn't come to the minister first, right? So when it came to my attention, I said, and they said to me, well, this is what we have done before, minister. This is what the policy is, and this is how we implement consular policy.
Okay.
Now, since then, I've changed things. There never used to be a budgetary line for consular support for emergency circumstances. I've instituted that. So for dire cases, clearly, we have more Jamaicans outside of Jamaica than in Jamaica. So we cannot support support the living of persons overseas. Generally, if you have chosen to live overseas, then that is a choice that you have made. But if you fall into dire circumstances, and we've had recent circumstances,
like our
young lady trafficked, she was offered a job. She went there when she thought that she was going to be doing domestic work in another CARICOM country. When she went there, they told her that she needed to prostitute herself, and she refused. She has no family, no mother. The person she did have a friend who reached out. We were able to help her get a ticket back we paid for a ticket for her to come back to Jamaica. We had to find a place for her to stay for the 2 nights while we found a flight out, and for her to because they kicked her out when she said she wasn't going to do it. They kicked her out, so she didn't have somewhere to stay. She didn't have any money, but thank God she had her passport.
Wow.
But even if she didn't, we would have gotten her an emergency certificate. But things like that, ministry must have a budget to help. We didn't before, but we do now. It's small, but it still has allowed us to help in difficult circumstances. And other times, we've had to reach out, work with Labour and Social Security, for example, with fishermen who have gotten detained by going into the wrong waters.
Yeah.
And we have had to bring them back, and they have had to route through. God bless. Now we have Coast Guard boats that have met the Navy's pathway to collect our fishers and bring them back. Before we had vessels, because when we took office, they only had one working vessel.
Wow.
You may wish to know, we renegotiated for parts for the two that were not working and got a discount on the second. And then we've invested and built up from there. And now we have the MS Nanny, the Marcus Garvey, is it Paul Bogle? I can't remember, but we have our national heroes represented in our Coast Guard vessels now.
Oh, nice.
Which we didn't have before. So,
Yeah.
You've said
are you
you said
fact
this.
checking me? Carl? I think you're looking distressed. I think he's getting annoyed because he's fact checking me and everything is true.
Are you getting side-eyed?
Oh, God.
This is not fun.
It's like, come here, just wait for me for clack over here.